Hey guys, I know that there is a little bit of a delay from when I push go live and when it actually goes live. So I am starting this a few seconds before 7 p.m. And so give it some time to load up and we will be talking about the 5 common mistakes beginners make in the martial arts and how to avoid them. And I'm kind of trying to generalize this a little bit more like for in all of the martial arts. But of course, my personal experience is more with Aikido. But I think this can kind of go across all of the martial arts. And just remember that these mistakes that we all make it's nothing to get hung up on, but it's just progress. You know, we make these mistakes to progress in life, and you don't have to feel bad that you make these mistakes. So I just want to point that out before we go into the particular mistakes. So just to get it started, I'd like to go over the 5 mistakes really quick. So number 1 is not finding the right martial art or school. Number 2 is, oh my gosh, did I forget it now? Prioritizing flashiness over fundamentals. Number 3 is the lack of patience with your own progress. Number 4 is forgetting the importance of relaxation. And number 5 is losing sight of the bigger picture of what the martial arts is about. So I'd like to talk about each one of these individually. And of course, you know, if you're on, let me pull up the chat for a second. If you are here watching, please drop me a message in the chat. Let me know where you're from, and let me know what art you're taking as well. That would be really nice. Let's introduce, because that's the whole purpose of this live stream, is so that I'd like to have like a direct conversation with you guys and get to know you a little bit better. So then I can try to make content that's more geared towards what you guys want to watch. Okay, so let's start off with, let me pull up these captions here. Okay, so let's start off with the first one, right? And I've got my notes here just in case I forget. But finding the right martial art or school. Not finding the right, I'm sorry, that's a mistake. Not finding the right martial art or school is a huge mistake that you can make, because the martial arts is kind of like they say it's a do, like Aikido, Karate Do, Judo, Kendo. And Do means like path or way. So it's kind of like more like a way of life. So thinking about joining a martial art is also thinking about you want to do it for a long term. It's kind of like, I think about it this way too, it's like a marathon. If you want to run a marathon, you're not going to be able to run a marathon next week if you've never run before. It might take you a whole year to prepare your body in a way that will allow you to run a marathon without getting injured. So think about it that way too. Like the martial arts, you want to do it at least like 10 years. I'd say 10 years. 10 years is a good time frame of developing the martial arts as a way of life. I mean, I remember when I first started doing Aikido. I mean, yeah, I got sparked by Aikido because I had watched it in a movie. It's like, oh, that's cool. I want to do that. And I'd been doing martial arts on and off since I was 5 years old. But then that looked like a lot of fun. It looked like, wow. And that is the second big mistake that I made, is prioritizing flashiness over fundamentals. So Aikido looked very flashy, and I wanted to do the flashy stuff right away. And so I jumped into Aikido. I didn't look for a school. I just found the school that was closest to me. Now I got a little bit lucky with that school, but I think I should have done a lot more research, finding the school that aligns with your why, your vision, your personality, your character. That's really important, because that's going to help you stick with it longer. And remember, every single instructor in every single martial art is very different. And if you can click with that one instructor, you'll enjoy it a lot more. Number one, you'll stick with it longer because you'll feel like, oh, I like this. And you gel with the whole environment, and you enjoy going to the class, versus you sign up with an instructor that's completely not aligned with your why. So for example, my why is more like self-development, self-improvement, physical fitness. And let's say I align with someone that's into the flashy stuff, then I would quit. And that's actually my journey, because what happened is I started doing Aikido in Boston, and then I really loved it. And then I decided to move to Japan and try to get better and continue learning. And so I thought to myself, oh, if I can learn this from the masters, I'll be great. But that going to Japan is why I almost quit Aikido, because my why really didn't align with their why. And but then I got really lucky again. I found an instructor there, because Hombu Dojo in Tokyo, they have every night is a different instructor, and they've got like, I think it's like 6 classes, 5 classes a day, 2 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, and 2 in the evening. I think that was the general public classes, and they've got special classes for special people. But there was 5 classes. I was going to all 5 of them, and there was times I would only go to the evening. There was times I would only go to the morning. But I tried to go as much as possible. And they had a different instructor every night with a whole different philosophy, a whole different way of expressing the techniques. And it was a lot of fun to learn that stuff. But then I didn't really gel. My why didn't match any of their whys. And I got lucky, and one night I saw a guy there teaching, and I was like, wow, that guy, that's what I want to learn. And then I gravitated completely to this one instructor and learned as much as I could from him. And I went to every single class that he taught, and I trained with him as long as possible. So, and that's what kept me there, because I was about to quit. I was like, this is it. I'm quitting tomorrow. And then I met this guy. So that I think is really important, is not finding the right martial art or school. So if you don't feel like you're comfortable where you're at, then go visit some other schools. And then remember, it doesn't have to be a school close to you. If it is worth, to me, it was worth it. When I was in Japan, I would commute 3 hours a day just to visit that class. So it was an hour and a half to get there and an hour and a half to get back home. That's how important it was to me. So don't just find the closest school to you because you're lazy. I don't want to say it, but yeah, Okay, so let me pop up. I've got a question for you guys. Let me pop this up real quick. And question number 1: why did you choose your martial art? What drew you to it? So please drop that in the chat. Let me know. I'd like to get to know, what art you're taking, but what really drew you to it? Like, did you watch a Bruce Lee movie and you wanted to do Kung Fu? I did when I was a kid. I watched Bruce Lee movies and I took Kung Fu. And then just remember, every martial art is so different. It's incredibly different. Like Taekwondo, the goals and the philosophies and the whys of Taekwondo are very, very different than the goals and the philosophies and the whys of Tai Chi, right? Completely different. And there's people that love Tai Chi and there's people that love Taekwondo. Yeah, and then let me just throw in a little like tidbit in there. Don't say one art is better than the other. Okay, Tai Chi is not better than Taekwondo. Taekwondo is not better. MMA is not better than boxing, right? Every martial art has its own set of rules, and what you're trying to find is the one that's best for you. And remember that the one that is best for you doesn't mean it's the best for someone else, right? So let's pull away from comparing which art is better in the whole, scheme of things. It's more like, what art is better for you? I love Aikido. Like, Aikido is the art for me. I love it. I love going to class. I love training. I had a wonderful class last night, and 2 students showed up last night. I trained for 2.5 hours. I started at 5, ended at 7:15. So I had a really nice training session, and I got to really express myself with the art and my students. And I did film it, so I'll put up some shorts later. I started this awesome series called Two Old Men Training Aikido. And last night it was the 3 of us, so I'm going to put 3 old men training Aikido. So I'll do some shorts for that later. So please drop it in the chat. Let me know what martial art you chose and what drew you to that art, and if you're happy there. Okay, let's move on to number 2, prioritizing flashiness over fundamentals. So that's a mistake we all make, because that's the mistake I made when I first saw Aikido. I was, oh, this stuff, because it's really flashy. When you throw people, it looks really cool. It looks really awesome. And it boosts your ego and it makes you feel like you're the bomb. But I did go into that flashiness and I forgot about the fundamentals. But and luckily, when I went to Japan and I met this guy, he guided me into really focusing on the fundamentals. And I love the fundamentals. Fundamentals for me mean physical stamina and strength, and not in like lifting weights, but in doing simple things like being able to run 3 miles, being able to do 100 push-ups, being able to do pull-ups, being physically fit, having a good cardiovascular system. So that's one of the things that I like about Aikido, because it keeps me there. I heard someone say once, Aikido is like sprinting a marathon. If you go to an advanced class of Aikido with no talking, like sometimes the instructors like me start talking in class, and then 15 minutes goes by and people are just sitting there because we're talking. That's why I like YouTube, because I'd rather talk on YouTube. Hey, if you're one of my students taking Aikido, watch this. So then I don't have to talk in class. But anyways, back to the point, is like sprinting a marathon. It really got me physically fit. It was exciting. I'd get out of breath. I'd be exhausted. I feel like I'm gonna pass out. I remember one day in Japan, I weighed myself before class and after class, and I literally my weight difference was literally 10 pounds. Like I weighed myself, I was 60 kilos when I went into class. I'm sorry, I was 65 kilos when I went into class. When I weighed myself after class, I was 60 kilos. And, that was probably all sweat, but that's how physical it was for me. So in the fundamentals, and of course the fundamentals, going back to posture, making sure your fundamental postures, back straight, bending your knees, the fighting stance, that's fundamental stuff. It's not the flashiness. A lot of times when I'm watching videos on Aikido, because I do a lot of research, I'm always watching videos on Aikido to help me improve, see new stuff. And I see a lot of high-ranking people that are not bending their knees at all. Their legs are just straight. They're just kind of moving their upper body. And to me, that's not a fundamental movement of Aikido. Aikido is like really getting deep, bending those legs, bending your knees, and kind of like burning your quads, making your quads work. So prioritizing fundamentals over, prioritizing flashiness over fundamentals. Okay, let me pop up this question on the screen for you. It's right there. I think that right there. I did that right. Yeah, I think so. Okay, so let me know, what's the most basic technique you've practiced, and how does that relate to more advanced movements? Because, that's exciting. For me, that is exciting. And a lot of, something like last night, I did really fundamental movements and kind of applied them into more advanced techniques. So that was a lot of fun. Okay, let's look at number 3. Point number 3, the lack of patience with progress. Now, that was my mistake, and I think that's why I went to Japan. I remember I told my instructor in Boston, I said, hey, I'm going to Japan to do Aikido. And he looked at me and goes, you're not ready to go there. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? You just don't want me to go? You just want me to continue paying the dues here? That was my first reaction. But now I understand that. I wanted to jump the gun. I wanted to become a master today. And that's not what Aikido is about. That's not what the martial arts are about. It's really about progress. It's about being patient with that progress and just learning little by little. Just like back to my reference on sprinting a marathon, running a marathon. So if you want to learn to run a marathon, you can't run a marathon tomorrow. You'll hurt yourself. It's like physically you will hurt yourself unless you're abnormally talented, like unless God gave you one of those bodies that you can run a marathon. And the story of the marathon. The story of that is there was a soldier, I think it was in Greece, and he got injured. They won the battle, and he ran the 27.2 miles back to the capital to tell everyone that they had won. He got there and he died. The run actually killed him. So remember, you got to be patient with your progress. And how do you do that? Just think about it. Hey, it's okay if I can't get this today, as long as I give it my best, right? As long as you improve, and just improve a little bit. I tell my students all the time, if you can just improve a tiny bit every day, that's great, because over the course of a year, you'll improve a lot. But if you try to improve everything a whole lot today, you're number one, you'll probably get very, very frustrated. You'll probably quit because you won't be so motivated because you'll see you're not progressing at all, and you'll feel terrible. So just remember, I mean, I remember I have a new student in my class, and she's having difficulty learning the front roll, and she wants to quit. She's like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I'm like, hey, it took me 6 months to learn the front roll. Like literally, I remember, even though I'd been doing martial arts since I was 5 years old, I never really did a front roll. That's another thing I like about Aikido. It really teaches you to fall. And it took me 6 months to get it down, and then to feel comfortable doing the front roll. And then finally, I felt comfortable doing the front roll. So just remember, be patient with yourself, be kind to yourself, and allow yourself to make mistakes. That's the key to progressing. Okay, let me put up captions. Number 4. Okay, what's the most basic technique you've practiced? Okay, so now we're going to number 4. Forgetting the importance of relaxation. This is a big one, okay? A lot of times, I remember like when I first started Aikido, I was like always really tense. I was like, oh, I'm gonna grab you. Oh, I'm gonna attack you. I'm gonna punch you, and I would get really, really tense. But it's actually the opposite. You want to be very relaxed when you're doing techniques and attacking. I mean, everyone knows Bruce Lee's 1-inch punch, right? He's very, very relaxed and fluid before he does that punch. And at that one point of impact is where he focuses all his energy for the strike. And for Aikido, of course, I did Aikido. So I've been doing Aikido for 35 or 36 years. I started in 1991, I went to Japan. 1990, I started. We're in 2024, 34 years, right? So for 34 years, I've been doing Aikido. And yeah, when in the beginning, I was really, really tense, but I've learned to relax. Same thing with running, right? If you're a runner and you run every single day, you'll notice that you'll start to relax through the run. You'll still be using your muscles, but you'll be a lot more relaxed and a lot more fluid. Your shoulders will be relaxed. Except for sprinters. I think sprinters really tighten up their body to run as fast as possible. So let me pop up this question right there at the bottom. Drop it in the chat or the comments below if you're watching this after this live stream. But, have you ever felt stuck and like you're not improving? And how did you handle it? That's the big thing. How did you handle it? I mean, I'm trying to think. I remember when I was in Japan, I felt like I would draw this circle. And I was like, oh, wow, today I'm doing really good. And I'd say, okay, today I'm up here on the circle. I'm like really getting the techniques. And then some days I would feel like I am the worst Aikidoist in the world. I mean, I literally like thought I should quit because I'm so bad. But then I would use this circle to tell myself that, okay, I'm way down here. It's okay, because later on, maybe next week or maybe in a couple of days, I'll be up here and I'll feel good again. And then what can I learn from when I was down here, when I was feeling terrible? What was it? What is it that made me feel that way? And then I noticed over the years, like my circle just started getting smaller and smaller and smaller and much smaller. And now I still feel the difference, but not as bad. Like I remember being way down here. It's like, man, I'm never going to get this. That's how I felt with the front rolls. When I first walked into an Aikido dojo and I watched the class, I was like, oh my God, I'm never going to be able to do that. And then the rolls took me 6 months and I felt terrible and I wanted to quit. But just learning to relax your body and get into it is huge. And that took me some time to understand. Anyways, so let me know. Let me know if you've ever felt stuck and how did you handle it. That would be great to get to know you. So let's move on to number 5. Losing sight of the bigger purpose of the martial arts, right? This is a big one. And, of course, martial arts probably has its purpose. Like, what was martial arts? What is martial arts? The purpose of martial arts. And it's really basic, right? Self-defense. The purpose of learning the martial arts 100 years ago was because you were probably going to use it. You were probably going to get attacked and have to defend your life and either be killed or kill. especially in feudal Japan. And this is probably why, like in Japan, the martial arts progressed so much, is because they were actually using it on the battlefield. There was no guns back then. I mean, they were fighting hand to hand with a sword or knife or tanto or samurai sword. I can't remember what a samurai sword is called. And yeah, so the bigger purpose of the martial arts, but then over time it's really changed. And each art has its own philosophy. MMA, right? Mixed martial arts. That's a very highly competitive art where you're actually battling somebody to see who dominates. And I don't like that. That's not my cup of tea, but I have friends that love that stuff, and it's fun to talk to them about that stuff. And I enjoy watching some of these fights as well, because you can really see how techniques are being used or not being used, and to see what is superior and what isn't, right? I sometimes I really enjoy studying that stuff, but it's not my cup of tea, right? So but nowadays I think the martial arts, the bigger picture of the martial arts, even in the MMA, of course, is improvement, right? Self-improvement. When you get in the ring with someone, you're not really fighting that person. You're trying to improve yourself, and that person is testing you in how much you've improved. And when you lose, you've learned a lesson of where you need to improve, right? And a lot of times, if you can take that out of a loss, you can do really well. Some people can't. I remember I was following Ronda Rousey. I really enjoy watching her fights. I think she's incredibly talented. She's an amazing fighter. And it was fun. And listening to her stories is really great. But when she lost her first fight, I think that kind of almost destroyed her. She fell into depression. And that kind of reflects of losing sight of the bigger purpose of the martial arts, and improving yourself, right? So let me drop you a question. Oh, you know what? I'm so sorry. I forgot to drop the question. This is question number 4, right? On about forgetting the importance of relaxation. Is next time you train, right there. I'm sorry, I'm reading it from the screen. Next time you train, notice where you're tense. Is it in your shoulders? Is it in your hands? Is it in your legs? Is it in your stomach? Is it in your eyebrows? Are you getting really, really tense? Just notice that and see if you can work on it, right? So, okay. So now let's go to question number 5. What has martial arts taught you in your life so far? So let me know, like, how has it helped you? How has it helped you improve? How has it helped you become more resilient? Because, resilience is a huge part of the martial arts. For me, I'm just trying to remember. I'm trying to really think. How has martial arts helped me in my life? And definitely, it's helped me with discipline, showing up, making sure that I show up and I put my energy into what I'm doing. When I moved to Japan, I started doing sales, and I remember I used Aikido training in my sales. Aikido training is like conflict resolution, and when you're doing sales, that's what basically you're doing, conflict resolution. You're trying to resolve someone's issues and show them how this product or service will help them benefit, right? So and they're coming with a reject. No, I don't want that. I don't need that. But then you're resolving that conflict for them. And I used it every day for business. It's great. I mean, people can use martial. There's this book called The Art of War, and people have actually translated that book into the art of business. And they've used the same philosophy, the same lessons, and they've tried, okay, this is how you can do business following these steps. But I've used Aikido every day, especially with resilience, getting up in the morning and working as hard as I can on what I'm doing and focusing my mind on what I'm doing. Like today, focusing on this live stream, putting my energy into it. I did a lot of prep work for this, hoping to bring you some value. So, yeah, let me know. Drop it in the chat or the comment. If you're watching this after the live stream, drop it in the comments below. Let me know, what has martial arts helped you with in life? What has it taught you? And if you're a beginner, I mean, even as a beginner, I'm sure it's taught you something and you've learned something. But more advanced people probably have a bigger bank of experiences that have helped that martial arts have helped him with, especially self-defense. I mean, when did I actually had a conflict where I used Aikido, and it really there was two times that it really impressed me completely on how Aikido has transformed my life. One of them was I was in a parking lot walking towards a restaurant slash bar, right? And it was late at night, and there was a guy coming at me, and Aikido is about redirection, and he was coming at me, and I could tell there was something up with this guy because he was like staring me down. And every step I took was building tension. And I took another step and tension built more, and he was staring at me harder. And I could feel this guy's energy, and it was like he wanted to beat me up. He was coming at me like he was going to take me out. But this is a unique thing about Aikido. Aikido, you have a concept called I-uchi, which is called mutual destruction. So I met his energy with my energy, and I went at him the same way he was coming at me, helping him build that tension. And then there's another concept in Aikido called Mai, which is like it's a word that doesn't really translate very well into English, but it's like time, distance, space. It's like a six dimension kind of word where you're talking about everything that's going on within the time and the distance and the space. And right when I felt the most opportune moment, I shifted my body, I turned my body, I redirected all that energy away. And of course, I kept my eye on the guy because I didn't want him to whack me from behind or something like that. And I noticed the expression on his face was utter shock. Like he was like totally shocked at what I had done. And I just walked right by him and kept on walking. And that was like, wow, I just used Aikido on a very, very high level. And I avoided a fight completely, and I'm good. I'm okay. When you watch those UFC fights, both of those guys get hurt. So if you're going to get in a fight, you're not going to come out unscratched. So I was very, very happy about that. And of course, I walked maybe 10, 20 feet. I was kept on walking, and I just wanted to make sure he wasn't following me. So I turned around, and when I looked back, he had gotten in a fight with someone behind me. And I felt really bad about that guy. Maybe I kind of regret it. Maybe I should have taken him down and put him down. But then, luckily I didn't get hurt, but I felt kind of really bad for the guy back there. But then it was a big guy, and they were probably just scruffing, and the guy was probably drunk, and I don't have to worry about it. Anyways, so thank you so much for attending the live stream. Please leave me a comment below. Let me know, how you've benefited from this live stream. Remember, the 5 common big mistakes that beginners make is number 1, not finding the right martial art or school. So that's a big key for enjoying your training, because if you enjoy your training, you're going to train longer. Number 2, prioritizing flashiness over fundamentals. Fundamentals are key. I watched this. I remember I watched a YouTube video of this MMA guy. Was it a real story or was this a YouTube video? No, I think it was a judo teacher that I was talking to. He went to a seminar, and they brought in a guy from Japan that was doing one basic fundamental movement that he just did it 1,000 times. And when he threw these other guys, they were totally shocked, and they felt the power of that one basic fundamental movement. Okay, so number 3 is your lack of patience with progress, right? You want to, that's a big mistake, and just realizing that it's going to take time and accepting that it's going to take time. When you were a baby, when you were born to when you could walk was generally a year anyways. It takes you a year to walk. I'm sure babies get really frustrated when they can't walk. Number 4, forgetting about the importance of relaxation. And number 5, losing sight of the bigger purpose of the martial arts. So if you keep those 5, work on those 5, and it'll help you improve. You'll feel more comfortable on the mat. You'll have more fun training, and you'll improve much faster and much better. So I look forward to seeing you on the next video. If you please drop me a comment. Don't forget to hit that like button, and please subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to get what is it? No, I'm trying to get watch hours so I can get monetized. But I would like to reach a goal of maybe hitting like 2,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So please subscribe to my channel and let me know what you think. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you on the next stream.